This is the Wake Up and Lead podcast, a daily podcast where ambitious young professionals learn to lead themselves. I'm your host, Hampton Dortch, and today we are talking about fellowship. I'm going to start with a quote that sums up how to find real, true, authentic community that we all long for. The price of community is the sacrifice of commitment. The price of community is the sacrifice of commitment. The price of community is the sacrifice of commitment. I heard this at my church for the first time, Auburn Community Church. Gage Henry and Miles Fidel, two of the pastors, say this quite often. The price of community is the sacrifice of commitment. And it takes a minute to process what that means. I will sum it up for you. I have a hunch. I have a belief. In fact, I actually know that we all long to be known and have deep, authentic, real, meaningful relationships. I think oftentimes as men, we don't open up and we're not vulnerable and we act like we have it all together. And so therefore it's harder to find that community. But in the first place, when you get busy, when you start working, when you have a family, it's hard to make that time to meet with people, which is why they say the quote, the price of community is the sacrifice of commitment. So community, which everyone wants, the price of it is the sacrifice of commitment. So I'll give you an example right here. If there was an easy button, then everybody would do it. And that's why not everyone has it, because they're not willing to put in the work. So there's actually a group that I'm meeting with that we make a sacrifice for each other. And that is meeting every Friday morning, oftentimes in the cold, if it's earlier in the year, at 5 a.m. And the reason we do that is because we know that no one's going to be busy during that time. I can't tell you how many guys that have been like, dude, we got to get coffee. We got to meet up. And it just never happens because you're busy and you've got different schedules and week to week things change. And so what we've said is we're going to meet 5 a.m. and we're going to run together. And then we are going to talk about our faith and our family and our futures. And we run, and that's kind of the fellowship and fitness time. And so the price of that is, yeah, you might not get as much sleep on Thursday night. It might be cold outside, but we are meeting at this time and we are going to be here for you. If you want to get plugged into a church, this has kind of frustrated me, and this isn't calling anyone out, but a lot of times people church hop for forever and they're kind of just such a consumer. It's oh, I don't like the music, or I don't like the pastor, or I don't like the people. And you're kind of trying to decide between 5 different churches, when in reality, it's probably something in your heart that's the problem. There's never going to be a perfect church, and the church doesn't exist to serve you and meet all of your preferences. And from my experience, when I was kind of trying to figure out what church to go to, what I truly believe is that of the churches I was looking at, if I would have just picked one and committed, I would have been oh, this is great. And it wasn't until I just picked one with Erica, got into a community group and started meeting weekly with these people and doing life with them. That quote is overused and I don't like it, but it's true, doing life with people until I really felt plugged into that community. And here's the thing. The price of community is the sacrifice of commitment. We meet every Wednesday night, and sometimes weeks are long and we're tired, but we meet. Maybe we meet 3 out of 4 weeks of the month. Sometimes circumstances happen. Sometimes there's holidays, but we make the time for each other. And there's not going to be an easy button as you are a young professional working with big aspirations and you're tired from a long week. There's not an easy button to have that community. So you've got to make it. And the price of it is sacrificing sometimes sleep, sometimes saying no to other people, sometimes your Netflix show. It is going to be a sacrifice, but once you get together and you start meeting, it is always worth it, because community is something that we all really need. So think about that today. Think about what sacrifices do you need to make. Maybe you do need to meet with someone at 5 a.m. in the morning because you know that you're not going to be busy then. Maybe you need to clear your schedule on one night to be available to meet with other people. I don't know what it is. I can't tell you that, but you probably know that at some point, at some level, there's a sacrifice that you can make to have that community that you're looking for. It's time for you and me to wake up and lead.